I do have to give McDonald's credit. They do have the best packaging when it comes to their takeout. Hey everybody, we're trying something a little different today. I've been trying to come up with a way to film me out delivering and doing the job where it's not intrusive. And so hopefully this might work out, I don't know. So what I'm doing is I've got the camera mounted to the bike. So you're going to get a handlebar view all day today. Because I wasn't thinking, I should have brought a small tripod so I could get some different shots when I have a chance. Like right now, it's kind of dead time. Between meals. I do breakfast and lunch and early dinner sometimes. And we'll talk about that in a second too. So right now I've kind of got some downtime so I can do some commentary because it's difficult for me to record audio while I'm riding because of having to run microphone cables and things like that and getting on and off the bike and delivering food, things like that. I'm unplugging things all the time and I got to figure out where to store cables and stuff like that. So we're going to try this. So there won't be any talking while I'm doing the riding. It'll all be commentary. So we've got an order here. Well, that's a good one too. We'll take that. So we'll find someplace else to hide here in a second and we'll get back to this. Be right back. Well, we have returned from our late breakfast run. Somebody in a hotel wanted some late breakfast. So we're supposedly in kind of a dead time here between breakfast and lunch. And I'm going to put my phone on the battery because while the bike shut off, it's not getting power. So I have to keep one of these battery bricks hooked up to it while I'm not moving. And when I'm in this town, I do a lot of sitting like this. It's a lot slower over here. So what I'm doing, I've got like 2 days a week where I just go work half days in this town, just make a little bit. And then 3 days a week I go to the big cities and hit it hard up there. So what was we talking about before we were so rudely interrupted? I can't remember. Super Cub's doing fine. It's got over 5,000 miles on it now. And over 2,000 deliveries done. It's holding up really well, not having any trouble out of it. In fact, the only things I'm really having trouble with is things that I've added to the bike. You know, I won't really say I'm having trouble with it, but any issues, I'm having to make like little modifications here and there just to tighten things up a little bit. That wireless charging setup from Quad Lock that I have on there, that does not work very well. Basically, it kind of slows down battery consumption on my phone, but I'll eventually, I have to keep charging it using my battery brick, or I'll have to run direct power just because the wireless charging doesn't charge fast enough. So it slows battery usage down, but doesn't, you know, keep the phone charged up. So that's one of the things that I'm kind of disappointed in. I did get a new box. This looks exactly like the other one, but the other one I've had it for a couple of years. And I had a hole in it, and I kind of glued it and patched it, and I wanted to buy another bag anyway just as a backup. And when I did my initial video for the bike and I put a link to this bag, it wasn't the exact one that I had on the bike. It looked like it, but I had bought it so long ago I didn't have an actual link to that one, and so I had a link to this one. And so when I went to buy this one, I used my own link and went and bought this, and this is actually bigger than the other one. So it's kind of a newer model, and the zipper's nicer on this one. So kind of glad I picked that up. So hopefully that'll work out. And the reason I'm working 2 different zones is because it's kind of I've got kind of a migratory client base here. There's 3 colleges here local, and when they're out of session, that slows business down. Let's say that, because the population shrinks. So while they're gone, I definitely have to move to the larger cities, because I have to go where the money is. And it kind of makes using the Super Cub kind of a hassle, because getting from one city to the other, this isn't the fastest bike in the world. While it will do over 60 miles an hour, that's in perfect conditions. If there's any sniff of a headwind or an uphill incline, this thing's going to drop down to as low as 40. So it makes covering, 50 miles between cities kind of a hassle. And I had considered throwing this bag on the Himalayan and using it when I travel the longer distances, because it'll cover that distance better than the Super Cub. But I did a trial run on it, and getting on and off the thing and maneuvering it around, tight, in traffic and in cities and things like that, the Super Cub spanks the Himalayan in that point. So it's kind of so I'm going to try a different route going up to the other town tomorrow when I leave. And so hopefully that'll work out okay. That and the hours that I do are kind of odd as well, because I don't work like prime dinner hours. So that's where the bulk of the money is made by most people who are doing this. Running supper time and late, after dinner. I tend to do breakfast, lunch, and maybe early dinner, just because I want to be home with the wife. I don't want to work second shift. So we'll see how that goes. And I might start running the bigger cities. I might cut out these 2 days that I run locally here and try doing that one 5 days a week, and see if I can be home on the weekends. Because right now I take my weekends in the middle of the week, and it kind of makes things a hassle. So I don't have like weekends off with my wife and stuff like that. And we're in one of my kind of hiding spots that I use. I just look for places with shade, when it's slow, so I can hang out in the shade so I'm not baking in the sun. And that's another thing, is the weather. Weather has been kind of a hassle, because even today, when I started the shift, it was low 60s, but it's going to be 90 degrees, this afternoon. And so what am I going to do with this jacket that I'm wearing? Granted, it's very, very lightweight. My wife bought me this little adventure jacket, and it's almost like a heavy BDU shirt instead of a jacket. Like I said, this is kind of one of my little tucked away hiding spots. I got to be careful pulling in here. There's some broken glass back there behind us. I got to make sure I don't run over that. Because that's one thing that's wearing on the Super Cub, is the rear tire is getting there. I'm going to have to replace that fairly soon. The front's doing fine. Rear's showing a little bit of wear. For all our watch fans who've been commenting on my watches that I wear, we'll do a wrist check here. I'm wearing the Steinhardt OVM 39. I've got that on a collar red leather strap. It's a rally strap. I kind of like that. It looks pretty sharp. Did have some pain in the butt deliveries up in the bigger city. People changing their address after they've submitted their order. How do you put the wrong address in when you submit an order? I had one that was awful. It said the order was going to be less than a mile. I had to pick up Chick-fil-A, take it to 7-Eleven. And I can see 7-Eleven from Chick-fil-A. I'm like, oh, I'll do that. And it was crappy dollar-wise. It was like a $4 order. It wasn't great. I'm like, I'll do it for half a mile. So I go into Chick-fil-A, pick up the order, and get ready to take off to deliver it. I get a message from the lady. She says, hey, I put the wrong address in. I'm not there. I'm at this other address. I'm at this hotel, is what she said. So I'm like, oh. Because if it just uses like location services to take note of your address or where you are, it can make mistakes. You know, it can be off by a block or whatever. So I was like, man, no problem, we'll find you. So I drive down by 7-Eleven expecting to see this hotel like next door. It's not there. And I'm like, well, where the hell is this hotel at? So I had to get on Google Maps and find where this hotel was. And it was like 30 miles away in another city. I was like, holy shit. I'm not driving all the way over there for $4. So I ended up having to contact DoorDash customer support and ended up getting the order canceled. I'm sitting there with this order from Chick-fil-A. I'm like, what do I do with this food now? They said just dispose of it. And I got another order from Chick-fil-A right then. So I'm back at Chick-fil-A. And I've still got this other order, and I got to make room to put this new order in. So there was an old lady, and it was hot. It was baking hot. The old lady was getting in a car next to me. I'm like, would you like an iced tea? You know, handed her an iced tea. I'm like, here you go. I don't want it. And so I checked the first order, and it was just a salad. So I got the second order and put it in there and contacted the customer who ordered the second order. I'm like, it's free salad day from Chick-fil-A. How would you like a free salad? so they got a bonus salad on that. But how do you put in an address, you know, off by 30 miles? And another lady did it like not long after that. I had to pick up Papa John's pizza. So I go to Papa John's, pick up the pizza, go to once I hit that I picked up the order, it tells me the delivery address, and I look at the delivery address, and it's Papa John's. I'm like, I just walked out of the place. How am I supposed to deliver this right back to this same place? And so I ended up contacting the lady, and she's in an apartment complex all the way on the other side of town, another elderly lady. And so I was like, all right, I'll do it for the $5 or whatever it was. It was supposed to be a really short run. It ended up being a longer run. And it's like, how do you not put your right address in when you order food? I mean, if I ordered food, I'd want to make sure the stuff came where I am, not just willy-nilly hit a button and just put in some random address. I don't get it. I did have my first beer run. I got a order from 7-Eleven. It was like $6 going 2 miles. I was like, yeah, that's not bad. I'll do that. And it ended up being alcohol delivery, so I got to check IDs, things like that. I'm like, we'll see how this works out. So I take it over there. Everything goes fine. You know, check the guy's ID, all that, give him his beer, and go to leave. And dude left me a $20 tip. I'll take that all day long. So yeah, I try to do all the beer runs I can. Winos are a different story. I had a bottle of wine from 7-Eleven again, and to a street corner. So I took it over to this old wino. I was standing out on the street, and he didn't give me a tip. Son of a bitch. So beer runs are good. Winos, avoid the winos. I get some Shady deliveries every now and then too. You'll get one that's like, hand it to me, go to the front porch, and then under the porch there'll be a basement window. Hand it to me through that window. You can't come upstairs to the door and get your food. You have to have it handed to you through a basement window with Pennywise the Clown or some shit. Yeah, I don't know. I've seen some funny shit. Yeah, another thing that bugs me about the Super Cub is the tiny fuel tank. That 1 gallon gas tank. While I get 100 miles a gallon, I can do, 250 miles a day, and I don't want to run it all the way to empty, so I'm constantly buying like half a tank of gas all the time. Just to, because I got to get gas like when I can. I can't just like get gas willy-nilly, or I can't wait until I'm running out. I have to get it when I've got the opportunity to get it. So I end up buying gas 3-4 times a day and end up getting like a half gallon of gas. So yeah, I wish this thing definitely had a bigger fuel tank on it. That'd be nice. And I did have an issue with the speedometer error, because on these bikes stock, it says you're going faster than you really are. You'll show like 35 indicated, but you're really doing like 32, something like that. And I had switched to the 15-tooth front sprocket in hopes of using my lower gears a little more effectively and maybe getting a little better gas mileage up top. And that didn't work out at all. It just exacerbated all of the problems of a small horsepower bike, small displacement bike. It made hill climbing worse, and even slighter inclines and lesser headwinds had a big effect on the bike. So I swapped back to the stock gearing, and I really didn't notice any better fuel economy either. It was a wash. I mean, just minor variances in traveling could make up the difference in what I was seeing as far as number goes, because it came out to like 102 in stock form and like 105 miles per gallon with the 15 tooth. So it was like 2 to 3 miles better, but I could make that up just depending on how I'm driving. So there was no real advantage to that 15 tooth front sprocket. And when I had it on, it would say I was going slower than what the speedometer said. So if the speedometer said I was doing 55, I would actually be doing 58, 59. And when I switched back to stock, now the speedometer is bang on.
I don't know.
Now the smart key is actually another area of interest on this thing. Because this one has a sight glass instead of a kickstarter. So where the Trail 125 has a kickstarter, this one has an oil sight glass on it. And this one can be bump started. So I can push start this bike, throw it in gear, bump on it, and it'll fire right up. But if your battery's dead, that presents another set of problems, because you can't turn your ignition on. So if you can't turn your ignition on without power, then you can't bump start the bike. If that don't make any sense. You also, if you don't have any power, you can't unlatch the seat. If you can't unlatch the seat, you can't get to the toolbox because the button release for it is under the seat. So you can't get to your screwdriver to open up your battery compartment and get a jump or anything like that. So it's kind of a paradox with that smart key. I ended up running a battery tender down the side, and I've got it on kind of tucked away on the outside. So if I have a battery issue, I can at least access that. While I'm talking about the smart key, I'll show off this little key fob that I got. It's just a little leather pouch that holds the smart key. It's got a little carabiner on it, so I can hang my house key off of it or clip it to a belt if I want to. So that's pretty nice. And it's got a swivel. And it also comes in handy in self-defense situations, so like when I get into ninja fights and things like that, you know, I've got some numbsticks I can use. Oh, you sons of bitches.